Elliott, I might try and change your photo because currently you've got your back to us in the photo. It's not doing yourself as a service, is it? So let's change your photo at some point.
Yeah, well, I'm playing at Priestfield, so that's...
Of course, yeah. Evening all, welcome to episode 4 of Meet the ME7. We're back. It's been a little while. Personal things going on. Obviously, the World Cup to contend with too means we've not talked about Gills for a little while. So let's do just that now. As you can see, I'm joined by Elliott, who will share some of his Gills-related stories and memories from his time supporting the club. Elliott, how have you been coping with the break?
Small break in it, but I kind of enjoy it. You know, like I think the last couple of seasons been dragging, so I've been really looking forward to having a break from worrying about the Gills. But obviously, this was a World Cup year, so we're sort of worrying about England instead.
Yeah,
well. So,
worrying on a much larger scale, definitely. Yeah, as fun as it was, I think we're all looking forward now to getting back to reality, which, as much as England going out in the semi-finals is a reality, this is even more real, a Gillingham season in League Two. I'll start with the same question to you as I've asked to everybody else so far. And why are you a Gills fan? What started it for you?
Well, funny enough, I actually started being an Arsenal fan.
Okay.
So when I started getting into football around 1998, I think. I remember vividly the World Cup, England, ironically Argentina, and that was my first real memory, really. But I think I must have been to Gills games before. But growing up, I think Highbury, such an iconic stadium, you know, Champions League nights, and I think Henry, Pires, that kind of thing got me hooked on football firstly. But you know, I sort of took Gills as a bit complacent, really. Like they're my hometown team. But my uncle actually got me into it really with my granddad. My granddad was a massive Gills fan. And I started going to games, although I was still an Arsenal fan at the time. I remember sort of Bob Taylor, one of the games I went to, Bob Taylor scored a hat-trick against Bristol City. I don't know if you remember that, Tom.
Yeah.
The third goal was like a 30-yard free kick or something like that.
He made it look so effortless as well, didn't he? He was so just the most casual player he was as well.
Yeah, what a guy. And I think actually, you know, it's mad looking back at it that I took that for granted, if you like. And, you know, I was still following Arsenal. Although I did want Gills to do well. I was still I remember being very gutted when we got relegated from the Championship. Been to a few games, you know, Preston. My dad took me to Preston in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, you know, just it only really started when I, you know, had that lack of adult supervision going to a game. You know, I remember going with my mate Ricky for the first time, and the first game was, I think it was either Neil Cooper or Ronnie Jepson. I can't really, maybe you'd remember. Gills won 1-0 against Hartlepool. Paul Shields.
I mean, specific games probably not, but around that era, yeah. The Neil Cooper era was full of misfits. That you know, that team. It wasn't the most. It wasn't the best team to watch. That one, I don't think.
And we had Hislop as well, and he wasn't great, you know. But like, so I went a couple of seasons. Then I started being hooked. Like then Arsenal was in the sort of, you know, I still like Arsenal. I think out of the top teams, I despise the Prem mostly. But, you know, I think then I became a season ticket holder for a couple of seasons. Then I became a program seller. So I was a program seller for under the chief program seller of the Rainham End for a few seasons. And I became friends with a couple of those guys who I'm still friends with today. And I ended up getting season tickets, you know, Big John. I think you can tell I'm trying to name drop a few of them in because they text me because they know I'm on it. So Big John in the Rainham End. Then I've moved with my mate Robin to the Medway stand. And I think it's just like that. I can't imagine having another club that I follow that would get the blood flowing, that will get the heart pumping. You know, when you're not at a game and you look at your phone and there's been a goal, something like that. I'll never experience that with another club. So I think the family, it's kind of like you've got your real family, you've got your work colleagues, and you've got your Gills family. So I know many people that I like to meet up with at Gills. So in a sense, even when we're doing badly, like when we were going out the league a few seasons ago, I actually enjoyed still going, you know, meeting up with people, because it's all about that as well. And you get that connection with the players sometimes when you meet them outside. But yeah, that's just, I'm bleeding blue that even if I end up moving away eventually, they'd still be in my heart, to be honest.
Yeah, and I guess you're probably a lot of Gills fans of all ages would kind of side with that and say, listen, everyone's got stories of how they were brought up with their, maybe parents or their friends support a different club, but you always come back, don't you, to Gills if you start going, you start committing to season tickets and going away from home, and it just becomes second nature. And as you said, like family plans, you might decide to go away, you might decide to follow from afar, but you still, don't you still retain that kind of love for it no matter where you are. And I guess that makes coming back even more special when you get a chance to.
Yeah. I actually feel sorry. I know a couple of people that now live in Australia that were Gills fans, and they came back for a game last season. That was an absolute, I can't remember the exact game. It was a horrendous one, but
there's a few to choose from, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So, Elliott, in terms of, we'll ask you kind of a sort of individual style questions around the Gills. So, talk over the last couple of seasons about lack of pace, which has been quite evident in the squad. Who is the quickest Gills player that you can recall seeing in your time supporting the club in terms of just raw pace and athleticism?
Yeah, it's weird because I know one of your other questions later on, and I was going to talk a bit about pace, but that's sort of like, that's put me on the spot. I would say there's been a couple, 2 to 3 that stick out. I'll probably, I think Jermaine McGlashan, definitely one. He's sort of one that you sort of, if the game was tight or 0-0 or 1-0 either way, you sort of bring him on after about 75 minutes, and he would put on the afterburners. He would destroy fullbacks, and turn the game for us a couple of times.
Quite underrated, I think, as well in that team. That obviously that was quite a good team post title winning. I think he was, as you said, he did a job, didn't he? He did what not many other players could do at the time, which was just to hurtle down the wing and create chances for us. But yeah.
But growing up, I think Matty Jarvis would probably be the other one that's in my mind. Don't know who's quicker out of them two, to be honest, but possibly McGlashan. But Jarvo'd got a lot more, technique about him, the finishing and the cutting inside, that sort of thing. And he was a quality player for us in our championship sort of early League One days.
I think that would definitely be a good race.
Yeah, Garmston as well, because I was going to mention Garmston later, but he was like a pure sprinter, more than just a footballer,
Yeah. And I think obviously, Miles Weston was probably one as well that in terms of wingers, which we don't really see much anymore, a winger that plays on the outside and goes down on the outside on their stronger foot. You mentioned Garmston there. Now, I've had the pleasure of playing alongside you at Priestfield. You were a very competent left back in a team of people, much like myself and Scoops, who I'm sure he won't mind me saying that, probably on the older side and maybe not on the most gracious and fittest of players. Who would you sort of look at within the Gills players that you've watched and compare yourself to in terms of playing style and ability?
Yeah, so I've played alongside you. I've got great memories of that game. Actually, I've got a lot of videos if you want to see them, or probably don't.
I actually do for bad reasons, probably.
Maybe one day. So I didn't really do a lot of 11-a-side growing up. Probably a bit of a regret of mine. I did more 5-a-side. But I do remember actually being given one of the players of the tournament by Andy Hessenthaler. I've got a certificate of about 70 odd kids once. So that was a big, somewhere in somewhere in the living room, somewhere in the documents. But I was one of them that if I didn't have any pace, I probably wouldn't be great. So I was good in the tackle, so that helps being a left back, and left back was always my position. I don't know why, but I didn't quite fancy being a sort of winger taking players on. I was better without the ball, if you like, and on the odd occasion getting forward. So I would say, a lot of pace, and I love players watching left backs with pace. So I know you said on the group chat, I think that you said that something like David Tutonda, but
that wasn't a fair reflection on you. But
I quite like Tutonda. I was one of those that quite liked him because he was quite maverick. But he's a bit of a maverick, but he hasn't got that skill. I haven't got that skill that he had, sort of thing. The odd occasion that he didn't know what he was doing, but the opponents knew what he was doing. A bit like sort of Dennis Ollie type. But I would definitely say Garmston. because he was a left back and just, you know, I don't, without his pace, he would be nothing. But he was really quick, rapid. You know, he had a lot of hamstring problems, which I think held him back a little bit. But at the same time, those are the pros and cons of being a sprinter, playing football, or being quicker. His mum was a sprinter actually as well. But you know, watching, I'm a defender of Max Clark. I think he gets a lot of unwarranted stick over the last couple of seasons, and I don't think he's as bad as people have made out. But it has been a little bit frustrating because I sort of feel to myself, even I could probably beat Max Clark in a race. I would love to see us have a pacey left back. So that's why I'm excited to see the left wing back of Kadeem Harris, because from what I've seen, he really could be a player that could be quite exciting for us. And I like to see our teams full of pace.
Yeah, I mean, having seen Harris so far, he's not had much of the ball, but when he has, he's tried to go forward. The Garmston thing is weird because I think one of many Gills players over the years that have just sort of kind of left us, and just the career's not really gone anywhere. You know, I think of the likes of Aaron Morris and Stephen Gregory, who left us, you know, being part of decent teams, and then obviously injury worries hit them, and kind of they just their football career sort of ended. You know, Garmston, I don't know what he does now. I think he's involved in non-footballing stuff, certainly, but
follow him on Instagram. He's doing other stuff, I think, from the time I might have clicked on one of his things. But it's a shame, really. So Aaron Morris was one that I was pretty gutted about, because he was like quite a tidy player, bit versatile, similar to sort of like Robbie McKenzie, if you like, because he can play full back, he can play midfield. But something happened to him, and he had a good upbringing at Cardiff, and then I don't know what happened, injuries, and
just seemed to fall away from football. And obviously, you know, and in those days, there probably wasn't the same coverage as there is now in terms of on social media. You sort of learn what players are up to and what they're doing with their lives, where they're going on holiday, sort of thing, with their families. And now, probably back then, 10 years ago, you didn't have as much, you know, ability to sort of know into their lives, especially if they're quite private people. Let's ask you some non-Gills questions then, Elliott, in terms of just football in general. A lot of focus these days on sort of transfers and recruitments across the either the English game or the European game. Can you give me an example of someone who thinks it's been a massive waste of money? If you think about the money that's thrown around in the game these days, whether it be at a Gills level, you could do that, or whether it be sort of more high profile in terms of transfer fees, who's been a complete and utter shambles for you?
I think from a Gills level, I've been pretty vocal about it. The money that we've spent over the last
collectively, I think that one,
quite a lot of players there that you'd label into that category. For me, and it's not necessarily transfer fee. Johnny Williams, the wages I've been told or reportedly that he was on, nice guy. Everyone says lovely guy. And you know, that's great, but when you're signing a 3-year deal, I can't believe that we spent 3 years. And at the time, I was buzzing. So it just shows you that the benefit of hindsight. I think the lack of goals and assists from what we were paying him. There's a couple of others, isn't there? I don't know actually exactly how expensive they were, but you know, you could pick out any of. Maybe Elliott Nevitt, a little bit disappointing. You could say even Macaulay Bond might have been on some money. I don't know.
Most likely, yeah.
At the top level, I don't know. I'm just trying to think out the Premier League.
£117 million on Morgan Rogers the other day. Like,
you know, I was not sure on Anderson either. You know, I don't watch a lot of Premier League football. He's had a great season, but when I started watching England at the World Cup, and there was a couple of games. I mean, to be fair to him, I did think he really did grow into the tournament. Especially, I think he was one of our best players against Argentina, although everyone obviously tired, and we all know what happened with the tactics there. But Anderson was, in the first 45 minutes, keeping Messi stum like the Spanish did. You know what I mean? So I think
he'll be worth it. I think he's an investment in it, and City tend to have a lot of players there for years and years and years, don't they? So.
Yeah, I mean, 130 million. The game's gone really. Morgan Rogers as well. The game's definitely gone with these kind of money that's just being floated about. And
I think for me, a team like Chelsea have such a high turnover of players. You know, they give them a 6-year contract. Like managers, they give them a long contract. They don't see it through, and then they have to pay them up, and then they go again. And like, I just think it's
I don't
crazy.
understand. You mentioned Chelsea. I just really don't understand it because they're a club. I don't really like Chelsea, to be fair, but look at the amount of players they have. They loan them out. They sign them on big contracts like 8-year deals, 6-year deals, and what was it the other day? I don't know, like the financial fair play of it. I really don't understand it. I thought they were next in line, having not qualified for Europe. You know, they might be next in line for a financial penalty. But then they're busy signing. I think they've signed one of the Argentina players. You know, the ginger head.
Oh, Barca, yeah.
I think they've signed him.
That's the whole sister club thing, isn't it? So they employ like sister clubs that they can buy and sell to, and they get first dibs on those players. It's like, but even for Rodgers, going back to him, I mean, he's given up a season of Champions League football with Aston Villa to go and play for Chelsea, who aren't in Europe, I don't think. I'm like, on a personal level, that's your career. I know it's Chelsea and you get financial security, and they're probably going to offer you a whack load of wage, but you don't want to play Champions League.
Yeah, you got to play Champions League, but I think from his perspective, and Chelsea's probably, that the fact that they're not in Europe may give them an opportunity to really challenge up the top four. You'd think when you haven't got those extra games. But on the flip side, and to be fair, we've just had a World Cup, so Morgan Rodgers might, there's plenty of time to get into the squad for the Euro. So maybe the following season he will be in the Champions League. But I do understand. Yeah, I do get it. You need to create. Your football career is short, so when you're at the top of the game, you really want to play as many Champions Leagues, as many World Cups as you can, because you never know when it's going to decline.
Well, good luck to him. Obviously, he's an English talent, and hope he makes a good fist of it there. Elliott, in terms of you personally, anything outside of football that you enjoy doing? I know you've got a relatively young one in the house, and obviously I know that will take up a lot of your time. But in terms of hobbies and stuff, what keeps you going outside of football?
Like I say, at the moment, it's just really family. Obviously, just got a busy sort of work schedule at times. And I think I like to just keep fit, basically. I've gotten a bit of a health kick. I'm a bit boring at the moment. I've not really probably had like 2 beers in the last sort of year, which is like back in my 20s. Yeah, actually was Christmas Day actually. Yeah. So I think I'm just doing a lot of swimming and pretty boring. I've done 3 marathons in my time, so I'm wondering whether I can
throw that in casually.
Yeah, just wondering whether I can go for another one. But other than that, I just just most people, I like to listen to music and a bit of Netflix and chill. That sort of thing.
It's a family show, sort of, until Luke comes on. To do the hypothetical situation, then it is Gills related. So I imagine up these scenarios and get you to give me your answer. Gills get a chance to play. Obviously, we did Como a few years back when we first got the takeover announced, or obviously it's the summer afterwards. Gills get the chance to play a pre-season friendly at any ground in the world. Where would you like to go and why?
That's a good question, and I'd probably say Madrid. I'd like to say the Bernabeu, just purely because I've never been and I've always wanted to go. I think me and my mate Dave, we used to do some travelling across Europe to various random grounds, and we never quite managed to do the Bernabeu. And obviously, Real Madrid are the biggest club in the world, so I'd love to see us play in that scenario, or somewhere like the San Siro. I've been there; it's an absolutely incredible ground. One of the big
iconic grounds, yeah,
just iconic, really. I mean, there is one it's a weird one I've seen in maybe Slovenia or something. I don't know if you've seen it, where there's like it's like on a train track.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
I don't know what ground that is, but I'd quite like to go there actually, Gills, if that was possible.
I'm sure, like you see, don't you, that on these pages of like maybe sort of Scandinavian or Balkan grounds where they're sort of on like a cliff top, and you've got these just incredible views. Like obviously for the fact that you see your club play there, but as you say, it's just a make believe question. But somewhere like the new Camp or Bernabeu, something like that, something that is just you sat up there in the gods and you think, oh, this is just incredible. But you never know if we ever have a.
I don't think I'd quite believe it if it was actually happening. If we ever got to that stage, I'd have to pinch myself like literally 24/7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Right. It's truth time now. I'm going to give you your room 101 scenarios of you've already sort of mentioned maybe stuff you want to talk about, but there's 3 things about modern football that you could do away with, that you don't like, that you would like to have eliminated from football in the game's gone capacity. What's your first one? And I'm going to see whether I would support that or whether I have an argument against it or not.
Well, it's quite an interesting
hydration breaks. There's one.
Yeah, I think that's already been covered, isn't it? So
yeah,
because obviously you've had all the other guys on. I think I've watched all of them. Maybe I've missed one maybe. But so it's pretty hard to go at the end because you're sort of delving for something to chuck in there. But I think my first one, I've had a thought about this, would be, those kind of situations where you've got a defender, probably a centre back, but could be a full back as well, like trying to shepherd the ball out of play or something like that. They're sort of backing into the striker and they feel a little bit of contact and just go down like that. And the ref buys it, and I know you've been a ref. I've been a ref as well, and it is hard. It's a hard job. I got to say, I'm not one to always criticise the refs like some do, but I think that's an element of the game that needs stamping out really, and the refs really, as a collective, need to look at that. I feel like looking, for example, at the top of the game, someone, and I like, as I say, Gabriel, quality centre back, but he's a very canny operator and he does those kind of things, And I feel like it's frustrating for me because I've put myself in the Gills scenario where you're so I'm sitting in the Medway stand nearer to the Rainham end, and you think of a scenario where Gills are knocking on the door. You couldn't believe it really the last few years, but we've got a massive chance, or something like that, and we've hit the post, a goal mouth scramble or something like that. It's about to go in, and then all of a sudden defender falls down, referee blows, and my frustration is massive at that point. So I think I'd like to chuck those kind of scenarios in the bin where the refs are stronger on defenders, buying contact.
And I agree on. And 2 things to add to that. One of the times, a lot of the time when you see it over in the corner, the assistant referee's right there and he's flagging. And like you can see the lack of contact or the minimised contact.
It's just
because that's what they expected to do, isn't it? They expected to flag because it's more comes back on them if they don't flag than if they do, depending on where they are. But also it's the fact that people celebrate that now. Like I know that we're all fickle as fans, and Gills go, right, if we had to win a game, we'd do whatever we could to get over the line, right? We would play up to the referee, we'd do all that sort of stuff. Precisely, yeah. That's the one parallel between us. But I think when it comes to celebrating it, it's like, it's dark arts. It's not dark arts. It's deception. It's cheating. It might be cheating on a minor scale, but it's still cheating nonetheless. But let's stop celebrating the dark arts and call it what it is. So yes, let's dispose of that. Let's get stronger. Yes. Number 2, what we got first?
Number 2, what was I say? Oh yeah, it's again about officials. It sounds bad, but I'm going on about linesmen this time. And it's mainly at the top of the game, but also I've seen it happen at Gills. I know Gills haven't got VAR, so it's a kind of a different sort of situation. But when you're watching a game and the attacking player is so far offside, it's like even my wife, who doesn't know the offside rule, would say he's offside. You know what I mean? And the linesman just carries on for a period of time, and the play carries on. Players are expanding or letting energy go, for a chance or maybe, and then all of a sudden the linesman then goes back, puts his flag up. You could have saved so much time. And I get, in tight decisions, you have to allow VAR to occur and take the situation out of your hands. But it's just when you're watching a game and the player is so far offside and they just let it play on, and it's like, well, and the referees at the end of the game, they don't actually add on that time.
No.
So it's kind of like lost time. And in a Gills scenario, I have seen that, not with VAR, but when I think it was actually Josh Andrews, believe it or not. It's hard to believe, the speed that he runs at, though. But he was so far offside, but he was chasing down. It was only when he actually touched the ball, the linesman put his flag up.
Yeah.
I think, he was
It's a
blowing.
rule change that no one likes. You can't really grasp why. It's not as if it's on the fence. No one understands why it's coming to, like, really why it's so frequent as well, Yeah.
So, yeah, I get frustrated with that. And I get, as I say, linesman, it's a tough job. I've only done it once, actually, believe it or not, even though I've been ref. Like, I've never, it's hard to see the offside, in real time. But, when it's close, obviously, it's either way, you can get things wrong. It's up to you. But when it's so far offside, I just feel like that's such wastage of energy, of time, basically. So I'd like to get that, basically.
And also, there's been occasions where there's been an injury where you've played on for those 5-10 seconds, and if you stop it dead in its tracks, you go, right, this is offside. We know it's offside. Screw whether he touches it or not. He's interfering with play by being ahead of the last defender. Flag him, stop the play. But that would make sense, wouldn't it? So we can't be having that right now. Third one, Elliot. What's your last? Is it officials related or is it separate?
No, it's separate, this one. It was a tough one. I did think about this for a while, but I just noticed myself. When you notice yourself reacting certain ways when you're watching football, and I think this is a general one, mainly at the top of the game. When a sort of like a keeper makes a save, but it's one of those where if he'd have let that in, it would have been his error. So it's, if, say, for example, it was going in, but it hits the keeper. And then the pundit, or not mainly, it's namely Ali McCoist, who I quite like. Ali McCoist.
Yeah, he is good.
He overstates the save. He's like, "Oh, what a save that is!" It's like one of those that me or you could have probably made. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just, to quote Roy Keane, he's just doing his job. I get
probably more you than me. What is it? Just like one where it hits him inadvertently, like
he put his arms out like that, but he's not like acrobatically saying it. He put his arms like that, and it's just hit him. It's good instinct. Instinctive.
Instinct? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Instinct. But I feel like a lot of pundits overstate goalkeepers' saves when really it's just like. And Roy Keane is not the best advocate for sort of like, he just rubbishes a lot of things, doesn't he, Roy Keane? He just likes to negate a lot of things. But the one thing I do agree with is, if a keeper's just doing his job, making a regulation save, and the pundits are just like, "Oh, what a save! What a save!" I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one for me. The third one, I was struggling.
Just a little gripe of yours, yeah.
Yeah, like I sort of noticed it during the World Cup games that I saw, that I was reacting to sort of like your Ali McCoist and those type of comments. Like, that's just a save. That's not like a great save that they're going on about,
So the Emi Martinez save in the World Cup in 22 against France, that one with Mbappe, is that a great save or is that just hitting?
See, for me, that's more closer to being a great save or a good save, because the moment of like, it must be flashing through your head that France are going to win the World Cup if you don't save that. So elements like when it's like that, I think, fair play, that is a save, because the guy's one-on-one, But if you're like just a guy just heads it from 6 yards and you're just standing there like, and it hits you on the face, it's like, okay, you're right, he's put his body there, but is it like an amazing save? I mean, if me or you just stood there and let it hit us, it would be the same, wouldn't it? So like me and you,
I mean,
top keeper,
I certainly wouldn't die for it anyway. I wouldn't get there until I'd still be going now. I think just a small one for me on the subject of referees, the shift that we've had from, I think it was the 2018 World Cup, pulling in the box and shirt grabbing, that sort of stuff, was given as a penalty. If you did it, it was straight away. That was a free penalty or a free kick the other way. Now, the incessant need to have 3 or 4 conversations with the players before the kick's even taken about, stop, don't do that. They do it anyway. Referees should warn them once and go, right, if you push him over in the box or put him in the box, whatever, if you drag him down, I'm going to give a kick. So watch out. Don't warn them again. Don't stop playing. Go, right, here you go. I've warned you twice now. Don't do it again. Just give it.
I think referees at the top level, of course, they're I've only done sort of little levels, so they're fair play to them for their rise. But for me, if I was a top level referee, I'd be stronger with stuff like that. You know, if I've warned you, it's got to be given. I remember Mike Dean did one in the Premier League once, and everyone was like, what is it? You'll have about 7 or 8 penalties a game. But unfortunately, that wasn't followed through. So a lot of the other refs went back to sort of doing what you said, like they'll discuss. And I think at the World Cup as well, for example, in the final, World Cup final, I was a little bit disappointed with the ref. You know, obviously we know how, you know, Argentina are very dirty. Probably, like I said in the chat, the dirtiest side I probably remember. And we've had a few dirty sides at Priestfield League 2. So, you know, but that referee, if he'd have given a yellow card for the first couple of challenges, you know, I think there was McAllister or one of the others. Then, that would have set the precedent. But he just allowed Argentina to get away with so much stuff. And I just feel like, and even Enzo Fernandez, I don't know if you know, like obviously he got sent off, but after he got the booking, the first booking, he was applauding the referee, and I'm like,
I saw that, yeah. I thought at first that's what it had been given for. I thought they were replaying it, but you know, it'd been given for dissent, wasn't it, beforehand? So I actually saw there was an article. I don't know who posted it, but it was 61,000 signatures on a petition to replay the cup for Argentina to replay it because I was like, okay, there's sour grapes and there's that.
0 shots in 90 minutes. I thought it was a disgraceful performance. I don't know why they set out their stall like that in a final. I mean, but you know, at least it wasn't England. I do feel like although a bit gutted we lost that semi because we should have won it really if we'd have tactically got it spot on. I just feel like the Spanish were probably on another level. So, you know, fair play to the Spanish.
We'll go again in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Elliott, that's it for you now. Obviously, we're going to be looking forward to the real football in a few weeks' time, and I'm sure we'll have some more shows before that. We'll obviously do match previews and so on and so forth with as many as we can. Cheers for coming on. I appreciate you've got a new schedule going on, so thanks for your time tonight. Gills fans, that's done for episode 4. A few more to go, and hopefully we'll get on with cramming them in before the season gets underway. In the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're getting nearer to the beginning of the League 2 season. We're all very excited now. I've had some pre-season games to warm ourselves up. Some more Gills content coming soon from the panel, including a League 2 predictions that I'm going to get underway with shortly, which is always going to be hell because I'm going to be pasted throughout the year for my terrible predictions, but it's going to be the first one on the channel. So I'm looking forward to that one. Terrifying in equal measure as exciting. So until then, look out for those soon. Up the Gills and up the ME7. See you soon.